Hey guys, Tyler here. I'm back again to do another video on how to grow in intimacy with Jesus. And I am really excited about today's video. I think it's going to be a short one, but packed with a punch. Uh, so I was reading through the book of Exodus, and I got to chapter 19, which is where the Lord gives the Ten Commandments. And I have just had this revelation in reading Exodus 19. I know that other people have thought these things before, said these things before. The Lord has shown them to people before. But have you ever had a revelation from the Lord and you're like, it's impossible that anyone has ever seen this before? Because if they had, the world would be a different place, you know? But that's just not the way it works, I know. But here is the amazing revelation. And this has to do so much with the heart of God, God's heart for us, and how intimate He wants us to be with Him. Okay, so Exodus 19, the Lord is giving the people the Ten Commandments. Now, if you're anything like me, the Ten Commandments is like the symbol in the Bible of God the angry judge, right? It's like the letter of the law. He carved it in stone. The do's and the don'ts, like read it and weep, like the rules. This is how we do things. Like if you don't do this, you're not measuring up. It's like, the whole idea of the law was to show people you can't do it. Like you can't get there. It's hopeless. You have to come to me for help, right? And so to me, it's the picture of like God the judge, the one who's wagging his finger. It's like everything we don't want in a God, right? He appeared in flames of consuming fire on a whole mountain, right? And the people's response to seeing the Lord in that way was, Moses, you talk to God. We can't handle it. We don't want to be near a God like that. Okay? Why? Because he is a consuming fire. He is righteous. He wants it all, right? So all that is in there. None of that is new. Here's the revelation. So I always thought, for some reason, I've read it before, but still I interpreted it this way. I always thought that the people first said, we're scared of God, like he came with fire, and they're like ixnay on the godze, like you talk to him because we can't handle it. He's too intense, right? And so then God went up on the mountain and sat with the Lord for 40 days and got the Ten Commandments written on stone, and then came down and that is how God originally made the covenant with the people. He's like, obey these rules and we'll be good. Otherwise, wrath is coming, right? But that is not what happened. And maybe you all read it the right way and it was just me, but I don't think so. What actually happened on that day was that the Lord said to Moses 3 days before, I want to meet with my people. And so have them consecrate themselves, have them make themselves ready, and then on the third day have them come to the mountain and I will meet with them. And I will make a covenant with them. Okay? And then on the third day, what happens is that the people come to the mountain and the Lord speaks he comes down in fire, like I thought, but he actually speaks to them directly and gives them the law of the covenant. Now that is totally different than the people just being scared of him and them never speaking to him, and then Moses going up and being like separate. And I always thought that that's the way God wanted it, but that's, and then Jesus made it different so we could approach the Lord. That is not the way that God wanted it. God comes down in fire and starts speaking to the people. And he's like, I delivered you from Egypt so that I could bring you to myself. He was not bringing them, he didn't deliver them from Egypt just to bring them to the promised land and be a good caretaker as long as they obeyed the rules. His desire was to bring a whole nation out of slavery unto himself. And he spoke to them directly. And that's how he wanted it to be. that it says right there that he wanted to have a whole nation of a royal priesthood, that he would speak to all of them ongoingly like he spoke to Moses, and that they would be a nation set apart in a relationship directly with God, like Moses ended up being the only one. He wanted the whole nation to be in relationship with him like that, and that they would be representatives to the whole world of God. So, we have this idea, or at least I had this idea, that God couldn't stand being with that people, and he just sort of kept them at a distance, follow the rules, and we'll be, copacetic. But that is not what the Lord wanted. From the beginning, the Lord wanted intimacy with the people. But what did the people do? The people, after he spoke to them and gave them the commandments and said, and why did he give them commandments? Because he's like, this is who I am. This is what's right in my eyes. I want you to walk with me in these ways. And the people's response was, we can't handle it. It's too intense. We can't live that way. We can't live in the presence of a living God. It's too much for us. It's too intense. You go and have a relationship with the Lord, Moses. We'll do whatever you say. And guys, that is what the whole world is living out of that to this day in many ways. It's the whole idea of a pastor. Or a priest, a mediator between God and people, the leader of God's people, the leader of the church. It's not what the Lord wants. The Lord wants, and he has wanted from the beginning, an intimate relationship with his people where he can literally come and speak with us and we with him. But why is that not the way it is? It's because the Lord is a consuming fire. He is righteous. He's holy, right? He's amazing and good and beautiful, but it has to be a certain way with him because he's good, right? We can want to be with the Lord, and the Lord loves us when we're not with him. He wanted his people to be a priesthood for all the nations of the world, calling them all to himself. But all the nations of the world were not with the Lord. Why? Because they were sacrificing their children and burning them in fire, because they were killing each other, because they were warring unjustly with each other to take each other's stuff, right? There are things that God won't go along with, right? But he desires that the whole world will genuinely come unto himself. I didn't have a vision, like a vision from the Lord. It was more just I saw what the Lord was really looking for when he revealed himself to the people on Mount Sinai. I believe, after just seeing this, what I saw in prayer today, that what the Lord really wanted was not just to be, the fire on the mountain that was going at a distance, leading the people, going before them. I believe that the Lord wanted, how Moses came up into the fire and met with the Lord there. And then it says later on that from that time onward, after going up on the mountain, when they left the mountain, they built the tent of meeting, and the Lord would come and descend over Moses and the tent of meeting and talk with Moses face to face. It says that when the people didn't want to go and be with God, that he at least called 70 elders to go up into the mountain and to meet with God face to face. And what I believe the Lord really wanted for Israel, that they never embraced, was that the whole nation would be humble and brave like Moses and draw near to the Lord. I believe he wanted the whole nation to go up into the cloud of his presence. And I believe that he wanted to lead that nation of people out of the desert with the cloud over them. That they would be a people that lived in the fire of God. And that they all would know him and speak with him. And if you think that is just my idea or a fantasy, look at what the Lord said later on through the prophets, through Jeremiah and Ezekiel. I know it says, and probably other places, he says, I'm going to make a new covenant with my people. I'm going to write their law on my law on their hearts and in their minds. So he didn't want a rule-based relationship that was like, God was at a distance and they just knew what he wanted, but he was over there. He wanted his spirit to be upon his people always, and that they would know what God wanted, not because it was written somewhere and they were commanded to do it, but like the first time he gave them the commandments. Isn't that so amazing? The first time the Lord gave his people the commandments, he didn't write rules on paper or on stone. He spoke it directly to them. It was through relationship. They saw the Lord and the fire of his glory. And that is in the context, that's the context in which he said, don't worship false gods. He told them not to worship false gods, made up gods, in the presence of his glory. They were standing face to face with him. And he said, look at me, look me in the eye. Don't go to any fake thing that you make up so you can be comfortable. Are you uncomfortable? Are you afraid? Give your heart to me. We will find a way to live together. Let's live together in the glory of the fire of my love. We'll figure it out. He wanted that relationship. When he said to people, don't commit adultery, he said it to them. He spoke those words to them. And, it's like this implication that if you're wanting something else than what I've given you, stay in this relationship with you. I'll show you why I gave you the wife or the husband that I did. Through relationship, I will reveal to you how good the life is that I have called you to, and you will see it, how beautiful it is, and it will so overwhelm you, what I have for you in this relationship, that you will surrender all other desires. You will reject them and see the reality and the truth that there is nothing good enough in reality that would make you want other than what you have, what I am giving you through this life with me. The Lord wants a living, present, intimate relationship with each of his people, even in the Old Testament. That is just, if you're a Christian or a Jew or a person of the Bible and the Torah, you have been trained to think that God, it's like the Old Testament God and the New Testament God. God wanted to be distant. He was a God of angry wrath, like never had time for us. And now suddenly with Jesus, he became our Father. No. Through Jesus, the reality was revealed. What he always wanted was made clear. They could have had it in the Old Testament. They may not have been fully reconciled spirit to spirit, where they could be one in the Old Testament, because Jesus had to undo that darkness and evil and decay and death and all that. But they could have been face to face. They could have been in intimate relationship. They could have lived in the midst of the glory and the fire, even in the Old Testament. And just as in the Old Testament, how they were afraid of that level of intimacy and rejected it, so today we are being invited to total, intimate, face-to-face relationship with the Lord, where he speaks to us, where he calls to us, where he says, let's find a way together. I will prove to you that my call and my way in your life is better than you ever could have thought of or imagined. And we still, as in the Old Testament, are being called to humble ourselves, to open ourselves up to the better way that he has for us. If we'll go along with him, if we'll be led by his Spirit, if we'll let him speak his word of life to us, that is also a call to discipline and change and redemption and glory. The Lord is calling us to intimacy. He always has been. He is here in our midst, guys, and I pray that today you will hear his voice. He is speaking, and that you will humble your hearts and not harden them like they did in the desert and say, it's too much. I can't embrace that. I can't humble myself to walk with you. the Lord desires that we would walk with him today in humility and in glory. So I hope that's challenging. I hope that's encouraging, guys. I think the Lord's going to keep giving me more revelation, and Lord willing that he does, I'll keep bringing it. So I hope to talk to you guys soon. God bless you till then. So long.